teachers. They stand up in front of a group of people and often, intentionally or unintentionally, laughter ensues. Yes, it's a short step from teaching to stand-up comedy. And Stand Up and Be Counted is Teachers TV's UK-wide search for the funniest teacher of them all. 4 would-be Jack D's will stand up in the classroom and try their hand at amusing you now. And it's up to you, yes you, to decide who goes through to the next round. Get your mobile ready. First off, a musician and music educator with 20 years teaching experience behind him and 2 minutes comedy glory ahead. Brian Wilshire.
Now, I'm a stand-up virgin. I guess if I was appearing in my first movie, I'd probably be an extra virgin, but that's another story. I used to be a drummer. In other words, I used to hit things for a living, basically. Being a drummer in a band is a bit like being the goalkeeper in a football team, and nobody notices you till you make a mistake. There are lots of drummer jokes. Let's get the drummer jokes out of the way. You know, what's the difference between a drummer and a drum machine? Well, with the drum machine, you only have to punch in the information once. How do you know when the drum stool's level? Because the drummer drools out of both sides rather than just one. What do you call someone who hangs out with musicians? A drummer. Ugh. Yes, fine. That's that out of the way. Okay, a princess is walking down a road, as they do, and spots a frog.
Ribbit, princess, kiss me and I will turn into a handsome musician.
And the princess reaches down, picks the frog up, puts it in a pocket. And from the depths of the pocket you can hear the frog going,
Princess, don't you want to kiss me and turn me into a handsome musician?
And the princess says, believe me, you'll make more money as a talking frog. My girlfriend and I go to the movies quite a lot, and I began to notice that the trailers, the voiceover on the trailers, all sounded the same. And apparently it is, this is true, I researched this, apparently it is just one bloke. And all he does all day is ride around LA in a limo, going from one studio to another, doing voiceovers. You begin to wonder what might happen if he got his genres confused. For example,
now, from the makers of I Spit on Your Severed Head, comes a movie so terrifying that you will literally soil your pants. It's Noddy and Big Ears Go Shopping.
And then, of course, you wonder what happens at the end of a hard day's voiceovering when he gets home. You know, when voiceover man comes home in the limo, you know, what does the doorbell sound like? You know, da 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 da.
Hello, honey, I'm home.
Why, is that you, voiceover man?
Who else could it possibly be? Now, from the wife who brought you breakfast comes a cup of tea.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, son. Have you been practicing?
He was a man alone in a hostile world. How was that?
It'll be okay when your voice breaks, son.
Good night, Dad.
Good night, son.
Now, voiceover man, now that he's gone to bed, how about a little bit of loving for little old me, huh?
Coming soon.
That was Teacher A.
Multiple voices, virtually a whole play from Brian there. And the thespian theme continues as Penelope Solomon, a drama teacher from London, creates a character for you now. That was my actor voice. Thanks. This is Sandra Jaffer, The Convert.
I don't regret it, no. No, it was something I'd always wanted to do, and it took me a long time to find the courage to do it. And now that I'm Jewish, I do feel a lot better, really. My husband was obviously very happy because he is Jewish. I've had a nose job. Used to be very small and upturned at the end, a bit like a ski jump. But I've got a nice hook in it now, as you can see. Yeah? I think one of the difficulties I have with being Jewish is I'm naturally quite reticent as a person. I don't really argue with people, and I don't really offer opinions. I do find it difficult to shout, and I'm not very good at jumping cues. But I am working on it. I'm learning how to use superlatives like fantastic and amazing, even when somebody just asks me how I am. Because last Saturday I nipped down the corner shop to get some milk, didn't do much else. Abraham's mum rings up and she says, "How's your day been?" I said, "Phenomenal." I remember meeting his mother for the first time. She came round for tea one Sunday. I'd done potted salmon sandwiches and wagon wheels. She didn't eat anything. I said, eat, eat, because that's what we say. Although I wasn't Jewish in those days, but I was practising. She asked me what meals I'd been cooking for him. I said I'd done a nice spaghetti carbonara one night, which he liked, and my quiche Lorraine's gone down well. She said, what about chicken soup? I says, oh, he loves that. Bachelors do a really nice one. In Judaism, it's written in the Bible that a man is commanded to make love to his wife every Friday night. So you know you've got a guaranteed bonk. Excuse my Yiddish. It's definitely worth staying in for that. Now, all my friends want to be Jewish. Darren's going for a circumcision next week. Rather him than me. Bit too close to the bone for my liking. Know what I mean? It was a bit weird at first, getting used to a kosher kitchen. But for all my meatballs and meat plates, I've put a little M in the middle of the plate, just to remind myself. And then for all my milk bowls and milk plates, I've put a little M in the middle of the plate. I have had lapses, yes. Last week, I had a real craving for a spam sandwich, but I had it on matzah, so I think that's okay. Isn't it? Yeah. What do I like about Judaism? Well, I suppose primarily I'd have to say the Volvo.
That was Teacher B.
Penelope Solomon as Sandra Jaffa, the convert, bringing us to the all-important halfway stage. Who's your favourite so far? Wait! There's 2 more to go. And this next guy's from the spiritual home of British comedy. From Birmingham, it's physics teacher Paul Millington, or rather, Milo.
Isn't it strange what people say? They seem to come up with the most oddest things. Now, my father-in-law is he's a top bloke and all that, but he says the most oddest things to me that you can ever imagine. One of the favourite ones he says is, can I tell you something? Now, I'm too polite to say no. I actually listen to the things that he's going to say. But his absolute favourite one is when he says to me, do you know who I saw the other day? And I say, hang on a minute. I actually do this because it irritates him so much. I get a pad and a piece of paper and I write down who I think he will have seen during the day. Then after a few moments I'll say, now you got me there, Dad. You're going to have to tell me. Anyway, not to worry. Now my wife, God bless her soul, she's up in New York today on business. And the other day, and it was the other day, in fact it was the other evening, we were sitting watching the television and I leant across and tickled her ear and said to her, Jan, would you like a coffee? And she looked at me, and mouth opened, and she licked her lips and said, who, me? And I thought, oh. I looked round, looked behind the chair, I looked round the room. There's no one else in the room. Who else does she think I mean? Am I talking to the boxer matches? She does it all the time. I don't know if you recognise this particular scenario. Anyway, kids at school say the most strange things as well. They just reel them out. Sometimes there's been a fight and you're trying to sort it out. And the kids will say, I'm going to bang him out. I'm going to bang him out. Why? Has the kid that they've been fighting with got a dent in them? And of course another favourite is when they say, sir, tell him what? Or sometimes they'll say things like, I'm going to bring my dad up. If I've annoyed him, I'm going to bring my dad up. To which I say, well, have you just eaten him? Kills it. And of course another favourite is when they say, I'm going to take you out. Great. Pizza? Indian? I'm easy with that.
That was Teacher C.
Milo! That's such a good name for doing that with. Now your 4th and final tutor of titters, guru of gags, professor of jokes. He's a supply teacher and father of 6-year-old Antonia, which he tells me is Latin for accident. Steve Humes.
Hi, my name's Mr. Humes, that's H-U-L-M-E-S. I do a lot of supply teaching. Normally, when I go into school, I'll put my name up on the board, Mr. Humes, and then children, being what they are, will just take the mick and say, sir, Mr. Fumes, So once I got sick of it, so I thought, well, I'll just put a different name up on the board. So the next time I went into a classroom, I then put my name up, Mr. Hughes, instead. And then all the kids were there going, sir, Mr. Huge. And I'm quite a skinny bloke, right? So I have to stand there in front of a bunch of children going, I am not huge. I am not huge. I watch a lot of television, even though I think TV people think that we're idiots. BBC One, terrible. Have you ever seen Casualty, when they set the kind of the plot up? First scene, I don't know, man roller skating down some stairs covered in butter whilst juggling hedgehogs, you know. Second scene, small child running towards a brick wall with knives pointing towards his eyes. Third scene, girl smoking a cigarette in a petrol station whilst covered in fuel. And ITV, they're no better. They've got this tendency to have programmes like, I don't know, Rosemary Smith and Janet Time are two gardeners who both solve crime in their spare time. Please join them for Rosemary and Time. So I thought, well, OK, ITV, if that's the way the programmes are going, I've got some ideas of my own. Margaret Up and Jane Down are two clinically depressed hot air balloonists who solve crime in their spare time. Please join them for Up and Down. And then Channel 4, which is meant to be the, you know, the channel for the so-called intellectuals, they had a programme on last year, and it was called The Boy Whose Skin Fell Off. Don't know if you saw that. And it was about little Johnny, whose skin was falling off. And at the end of the programme it said, if you've been affected by loss or any of the other issues raised in this show, please call us. So I phoned up and said, yeah, I've been affected by loss, actually. I've lost the will to live. I have to keep showing these programmes. Have you not got anything better? Late Night Rainbow, something like that? Yeah, so that's me, Steve. I'm a teacher. Not a comedian, obviously. But if I was, I would be a comedy cliché in that, yes, I've recently been dumped. It's true, actually. I did speak to my girlfriend about it, and I said, well, why have we split up? And she said, well, you're negative. Right? No, I'm not. You're defeatist. I said, yeah, there's nothing I can do about that. And she said, you're childish. I said, no, you are. You are. No, we actually split up because, I'll be honest with you, I'm impotent. But, you know, no hard feelings.
That was Teacher D.
Sorry you've been dumped, Steve, but on the plus side, in stand-up comedy, that's the equivalent of a PGCE. Steve Humes. You also saw Brian Wilshire, Penelope Solomon and Paul Milo Millington. Now, time for the showdown. Who made you choke on your chips? Text Teacher A, Teacher B, Teacher C, or Teacher D to this number, 61005. The teacher with the most votes goes on to our semi-final later in the year. You've got until midnight on Monday to vote. If you try after that, we'll find you and kill you. 4 more teachers stand up for you to count next time on Stand Up and Be Counted. Till then, I'm Rob Deering, and it's your own time you're wasting. Goodbye.